I'm Luke Story. For the past 22 years, I've been relentlessly committed to my deepest passion, designing the ultimate lifestyle based on the most powerful principles of spirituality, health, psychology, and personal development. The Lifestylist Podcast is a show dedicated to sharing my discoveries and the experts behind them with you. Har Hari, what are we going to start with today at your clinic? You got all kinds of crazy shit popping off over here.
Yeah.
You might be the only guy that's more dedicated to biohacking and has more devices and craziness than I do.
Yeah, I think you have, it's probably we have the same number, but different.
Yeah,
different things. Because I have a different emphasis because I'm a practitioner.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
People want me to be a practitioner. I'm like, I don't want to get sued. I'm not, I don't have any kind of credentials whatsoever, so I'm not doing that.
Well, you can make it a club,
Membership club.
Yeah.
I thought about doing that. If it wasn't in my backyard, I probably would.
Yeah.
I just thought, I don't know if I want to publish my address.
No, you don't want to make it public. You should make it a private thing, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so I've done a bunch of healing modalities with you, so I think what I'd like to do is we'll start with this one. You can kind of give us, an overview of what it does. We'll do the scan. We'll kind of just take one thing at a time. I'll do a cut, and for those watching on Instagram and Facebook, I'm going to probably shut us down between each little thing we do. So it's going to be, a multi-part live stream. So let's go ahead and start with this one.
Okay, well, this is a cyber scan. This is a German biofeedback technology that I got into about 5 years ago. Rex Wilson, who was my naturopath back then, he since has moved to Thailand to get out of the US, but he was the top guy in the state, like top naturopath. He had every biofeedback device known, pretty much, from Russia, Germany, America. And when he turned me on to this, he said this one machine replaced them all as far as diagnostic capacity and also treatment. So I first became a patient myself, had a few scans, a few remedies made for myself, and quickly saw some major changes in my health, and that just sold me on it, and we ended up getting one, and been practicing with it for like the last 4.5 years, treated thousands of people.
I think last time I saw you, it was probably 2 years ago, and you were using this then. So when I walked in and I saw it still prominently, right-hand technology right on your desk next to the laptop, I thought it must work. Otherwise, you would have bailed on it like a million gadgets that we come across.
It's extraordinary. Every time I run a scan, it goes right to the core of what's going on with the person.
So how does it? So it's diagnostic, and then how does it get this scan data from your...
Well, you put your hand on here, right? And this plate creates a scalar wave, which is a non-EMF wave. So you're not putting any energy, electromagnetic energy into the body. It's just reading the field around the hand, or we can use a patient sample like hair or saliva and put it in a glass on here, and we get the same reading as long as it has the DNA imprint of the person.
Whoa, so this is quantum vibes.
Totally.
Yeah. Can you hold, I don't want to mess with it, can you hold it up and just show the people watching on video so they have kind of an overview?
So this is right here is a Tesla coil that's embedded in the device, and that's what creates the scalar wave. So,
and it's called a cyber scan.
Cyber scan, yeah.
And what country does this one originate?
From Germany.
Germany, okay.
And these guys, the Germans have been doing this for well over half a century as far as biofeedback. The Vol machines where they do, skin-resistant testing for meridians. This is like the next generation of those type of machines.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Once I had a scan done, I was going to get a dental implant, and I probably should have just gone a metal one because I was missing a tooth because I was a bad boy, and my teeth tend to fall out, and so I didn't want to get the titanium in my body because I don't want to be an EMF magnet, etc., disrupt the meridian. So I waited till they had the zirconia ones.
Right.
But I still went and got tested by a guy who did that kind of skin conductive testing.
Yeah.
And then I would hold the zirconia, which I never think I'm pronouncing right, and I'd hold titanium and all these different things, and he would test for reactivity.
Yeah.
And because it would have been cheaper to get the titanium.
Yeah.
And he did find a little bit of reactivity, in that titanium just from holding it in a vial in my hand. It was really trippy, really.
Yeah, so this is like an advanced version of that.
Got it.
It's looking at so the cool thing about this is I can test literally tens of thousands of items in like 4 minutes, and we'll see like what the main issues are.
Wow.
As far as like organ function, teeth, immune system, pathogens, and also the psyche. So we can actually look at your psyche and see where you've been traumatized or have phobias or psychoses and things like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do the scan.
Okay, so just put your hand right here on the plate.
Doesn't matter which one.
That doesn't matter.
Okay.
So we're gonna go. It takes 10 seconds. So it's a 2-part thing. So the first is just the scan. So we're getting your imprint. The morphogenetic field is being imprinted in the device. It takes like 10 seconds. Then once that's recorded, we're gonna run the database against your sample, and then we're going to have a huge list that we can go through and analyze.
I hope I pass with flying colors.
Okay, you're good.
When I went to the Dr. Amen brain scan I was telling you about, I was sure we were going to walk in the room to do the interview where he went over the results, and I swear to God, I thought he was going to be like, "Oh my God, Luke, you're 49 years old. Your brain looks incredible. I've never seen a healthier, more robust brain." So all the stuff I've been doing, and we sat down. He's like, "Yeah, Luke, you have a very, very tired brain, very slow brain." And he showed me where it was, lacking blood flow and whatnot. And I'm on a protocol to fix it. But I was like, God damn it, I'm so committed to this life, and yet still my brain.
Was this after all the biohacking you've done?
Yes.
Everything?
However, it was also after 3 years of very intensive EMF exposure from a cell tower that was next to my bedroom. It was hidden behind a wall, and I didn't know it was there. And so, my vision went bad. I developed tinnitus in my ears.
Was this from the place you were living at before?
Commodore Slope. Yeah, it was over in Miracle Mile.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there for 3 years, and I'm super EMF aware / paranoid, and try to be more aware than paranoid. I never would have lived there if I didn't know. People listening to the show are going to be sick of this story, but basically, I interviewed Jack Cruz.
Right. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Jack.
You're a fan of Jack's, and so he said, Luke, if you're going to live in this city, LA, if it's turning 5G, my recommendation is you get the fuck out of there now. Like, get a U-Haul tomorrow, leave. That's how hardcore he is against 5G, and just all the electrosmog and air pollution, noise pollution, psychic pollution, etc.
Yeah.
So I said, well, listen, I can't do that right now. What can I do that's going to be the most powerful thing, right? Whatever biohack. And he said, you got to watch the sunrise every day and the sunset every day. That's it. You need that red light. You need the circadian, rhythm regulation, cortisol, dopamine, serotonin, and melatonin, the whole cascade of, hormones and neurotransmitters, as I'm sure you're aware of, that come as a result of being in alignment with the solar system. And so I had the sunrise is good because I had a vantage point in my place over here. It's like on San Vicente and Olympic. Right. And I could see the horizon perfectly, but sunset I couldn't get because there was a 3-story building between me and it. So one day after the conversation with Jack, I scaled up the stairs and kind of snuck in this building, and I go to open the door to the roof, and there's all these radiation warning signs, Verizon warning, skull and crossbones kind of stuff. And I was like, you have to be kidding me, dude. I opened the door, and it was like the theme song from Psycho came on. I was just like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. And they're pointed right at my bedroom. And about 100 yards from my bed.
Oh my.
And the whole time living there, I woke up with headaches. I was always tired, incredible brain fog, and just general stupidity. And, I'm not being self-deprecating. I just really could not put a sentence together sometimes. And doing a podcast is challenging if that's the case. So I never tested the EMFs in my room because I just figured, well, they're probably bad. And there's, I use my scalar, my blue shield, and different things in the house, and hardwired.
And you had all that stuff?
I had all that stuff. Eventually I did, but I hardwired the internet. So I just did what I could, but I never had anyone come in with a meter because I didn't know there was a tower nearby to see how bad it was. I just figured, well, it's bad because I'm in the city. The minute I moved to Laurel Canyon, all those symptoms went away, but I think there really was some repercussions of...
And that's what they saw in the brain.
Yeah, just getting fried. And there was also like a limbic system, overactive limbic system that would be indicative of childhood trauma and things like that. So anyway, I finally passed this shit. We're going to fake the results and be like, Luke, you're the best I've ever seen. No.
Okay, well, we got the results. So I'm going to pull it up right now and we'll take a look. See what's going on. So this shows us kind of not just one thing, but it gives us a whole global picture of everything that's going on with you. So that's what's so always really exciting for me to go in here and see everything. So
just don't tell me, Luke, you have to stop eating bacon and drinking coffee, and we'll be good.
Okay, so here we go. So let's see what's going on. So generally, I'm going to start with, there's a range of 1 to 12 that these items are listed at, and the things that are from 1 to 3 are in your physical, and that's what I primarily focus on, because that's what's going to be, you're going to be experiencing in your physical body. The other things that are higher number things, those are more in your field, in the energy field, and they're things that you probably have dealt with in the past, but not so much now because it's kind of moved out of your physical. So first thing that's coming up is cardiovascular, and it's saying myocarditis. So myo is the muscle, cardio is the heart. So there's some inflammation in the heart, okay? It's at a 2, so a 2 would mean like mild to moderate symptoms, maybe just occasionally experience something.
Got it.
But it, that would, to me, would indicate a mitochondrial issue, because your heart and your brain have the most mitochondria. Right?
Oh, so, right. Good point.
And the itis, the inflammation, that the first thing I think of is, okay, inflammation is like the thing that causes all kinds of problems, right? So, in that case, I would say, well, you're already doing ice baths, so you got that nailed. But the breathing, I don't know how much breathing do you do a day? Do you do a lot of...
if I'm honest, I always say, I do breath work every day. It goes in phases. Honestly, there's probably, if I'm realistic, I probably do a legit breath work session 3 to 4 times a week. I do.
For how long would you say?
Well, that's the thing. Right now, my practice is I found a sun gazing spot up on on top of the canyon, a little canyon, and I'll do my breath work up there, and I'll maybe do like 5 minutes.
Okay.
But
I would probably 5 times that to help reduce that.
Okay.
5 times it.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm doing just myself. I'm doing 45 minutes a day.
Straight, one shot through?
Well, I'm doing the Wim Hof style. So I do, my breath retention, but long, deep breathing for 45 minutes every day.
Got it.
Yeah. But I think that's the level of breath work that we all need to be doing, really, in these times, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and then, so it's interesting. The myocarditis reading comes up again, but a high number. So what that's telling me is that this has been an issue going back a long time, and it's still a little bit of an issue. It's not, at least it's not a 1. A 1 would mean, okay, we need to go get a medical test. I don't think you're at that level, but it looks like it's been a long time pattern of having inflammation in the heart. And that's also the heart chakra too. Mm-hmm. So that has to do with, your self-love, your relationships, all that stuff. Because that actually, stress is a bigger form of inflammation than almost anything, right? So anything that's causing you stress in your life, that's going to inflame your system.
Would the results of this be affected in short term? Like, say I was really stressed out driving over here because we're in quarantine and I think I'm going to get pulled over by the Illuminati and thrown in a can. Would that immediate stress have an influence on the test, or does it really look at a more broad?
I think this is more broad.
Okay.
Like, this is more of a almost like under the surface exam. Sometimes that'll happen where you'll have like food poisoning and it shows up. Okay, I just had food poisoning last night. It's like at a 1, right?
Right.
But a 2 means it's probably been there for a little while. Right. The fact that you had 11 and a 2. That tells me it's been there a long time. It's like a long time issue. Okay, so the next thing that comes up is your thyroid, okay? It's not saying you have any specific thing like hypothyroid or, Hashimoto. It's just saying stroma intrathoracilis vera isolata, which is a long word, but basically the energy of your thyroid is slightly low. Just a little bit. It's like at a 2. So... again, thyroid is, if you're looking at it from the yoga perspective, is your fifth chakra, speaking, expressing yourself, which you were like a master at. So that's interesting that that's coming up, But I immediately would think, more iodine sources, seafood, things like that. Stuff that like Jack Cruz talks about.
Right.
He's pretty right out with that.
Yeah. And I am pretty conscious about getting in clean, low on the food chain sources of seafood, but it's not that consistent. And the sea vegetables, I just discovered this. I interviewed this guy, Dr. Rob Cowan, and he's got this thing. I didn't even know it was the same guy. I have these powders on their website called Dr. Cowan's Powders, and they're these biodynamically grown dehydrated vegetable powders and also sea vegetable powders. So they're really cool, and they actually make vegetables taste good, but you get a concentrated extract essentially of the phytochemicals from the good plants, including the ones from the sea. So I got to order some of those. He's got dulse and kelp and all kinds of stuff.
And again, it's not like you're not out of one, but still that's a little bit low. Okay, then also your eyes. Again, it's a 2, and I don't know what that is even saying. Sometimes the words that this brings up are in Latin, so it's hard to tell, but it's saying something panuvitis. So something with the eye. I don't know if you have any eye issues.
I do. That's consistent. Yeah, my vision is at times a little blurry and funky, and that all started when I lived under a cell tower invasion.
Okay, so that's it. Then you have a 1. Now this would be a real physical thing, but it's the arm or shoulder insertion tendinitis.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a physical thing.
Right elbow for a long time, comes and goes depending on stem cells, peptides, BMF, etc., but it never goes all the way. And then left shoulder, same thing. Okay,
that's coming up at a 1. So that's literally your biggest reading right now is that issue.
So 1 is the highest.
Yeah, 1 is the highest. That means it's the most physical.
Got it.
Now, this is an interesting one. Don't typically see this with men a lot, but it's showing up with you. At a 2, it's osteoporosis in your spinal column.
Oh.
It doesn't mean you have full blown, but it means that your body's sucking calcium. It's pulling calcium from the bone, trying to counter the effects of inflammation. Because whenever you have inflammation, your body's going to pull calcium from the bone and neutralize it.
That's interesting. I wonder if that has anything to do with EMF because of the opening of the cell and the calcium gate channel of the cells, where it allows calcium to flood the cell that normally wouldn't because the electrical charge is interfered with.
Well, your body's having to neutralize any of the acidity that's getting caused by that. Okay, so you're at a 2, which means it's not like physical critical situation, but you want to turn the tide back. So one of the things I found recently, and I'll give you information after we talk here, is something called SiSi Calcium. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's incredible, but it basically takes the calcium out of your tissue, puts it back in your bone.
What?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I have a lot of calcification and fibrosis and stuff in my body.
Yeah, the SiSi Calcium would help reverse that whole thing.
Dude, cool. What do you think about the systemic enzymes like serrapeptase and things that can supposedly...
Well, that would help the more the symptom of the inflammation, but as far as reversing the issue with calcium, the SiSi Calcium is going to just reverse it. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. And what about on that, the relationship, as the EMFs have that effect on the cell and allow for that calcium influx, it dysregulates the balance of magnesium and calcium even worse than it already is just from being a modern human. So I would say I mega dose magnesium, all different types, all the time.
Yeah, that's essential.
Okay.
Totally essential.
Got it.
The next thing that's coming up below is your trachea. So it's like tracheitis, like little inflammation in the trachea.
You know why?
What?
About 2 months ago, someone hit me up on Instagram and said, hey, I have this CBD company and we make all these extracts and stuff, which everyone makes, so it's kind of like whatever. And they say, we also have this CBD flower, a hemp flower that doesn't have any THC that you can smoke, and we'll send you some of these buds. And I thought, wow, it's a little risky because I used to be such a pothead and I do not want to ever be one again, just for personal reasons. The cascade, the gateway drug kind of vibe for my sobriety. But I thought, what the hell? Let's send it over and we'll see. So they sent me these chronic nugs, just really beautiful cannabis. And so I got some papers, I smoked a couple dozen, and that was the end of it, and I kind of forgot about it. And then the other day I was ordering some kratom from, kind of one of my dark websites, and they have pre-rolled CBD flower spliffs. And they were having a 45% off sale, so I thought I should just get 15 just as a starter pack. And I've been smoking like 1 or 2 of those a day. And it has irritated my throat. Now, I do not recommend smoking any smoke on a regular basis. I don't think that's healthy. But I've been sort of just testing the effects of mega dosing CBD, because when you smoke it, you just get so much more of a relaxing effect than any of the tinctures or anything. But it does have that the irritation.
It's interesting because a little lower down in here, I'm seeing the cannabis is actually showing up.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's actually in relation to fibromyalgia, which that's kind of weird. I don't know what the connection is, if it's aggravating it or is it helping it. See, that's where there's some room for interpretation, but it's interesting that it's showing up like that.
Yeah, well, I do have a lot of systemic body pain. I've never been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I'm sure if it's there, it's very mild as comparison to most people that.
Well, it's at a 3, so you're going to barely notice it. It's just there occasionally, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that's showing up interesting is something called Bartonella. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, that's one of those little spirochete things related to Lyme, isn't it?
Yeah, and this one is actually one that's related to cats.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Because I've not had a cat in 20 years, but my girlfriend moved in about a month ago with a cat.
Okay, well, there you go.
Oh, shit. Well, how do you fix that without getting rid of the cat? Because she would never have that.
Well, I mean, I'm not, okay, so my theory on germs, and this goes for all germs, and I'm sure you're familiar with this because this is what you do, but it's not about the pathogen, it's about your terrain, right? So, everything you're doing is going to protect you from that. But this particular one it seems to be,
You know what I could do? I could run the ant coil Bartonella program periodically.
Yeah, it's in it too, so it's not real bad, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, if anyone listening to or watching this recording has any information on how to mitigate the effects of having a cat in your indoor environment, from a parasitic bacterial point of view, please, write into the show or DM me on Instagram or something, because I've heard people talk about that and I just ignored it because I didn't have a cat. But I've heard that there are a lot of airborne, funky things happening when you have a cat in your environment. So
my daughter, I just got off the phone with my daughter, and she has a cat. She's been indoors with a cat for the whole time of this pandemic thing. Apparently, she has an allergy to the cat because her face is like swelling up.
Oh,
so it's interesting because cat allergies are just, they're challenging. But the cards that we make. These cards right here that we make, because we actually make a remedy based off this reading, this will neutralize all that stuff.
Oh, snap. I forgot this isn't just diagnostic.
Yeah, no, this is actually a remedy. I'm going to make you one too, so you can wear it. Yeah. Yeah, so now the other thing this is a high reading on you. You were mentioning this stuff with the brain. What it's saying here is multi-system atrophy, MSA-C, olivopontocerebral atrophy. That's a long word. But that's basically a form of Parkinson's, like early Parkinson's. It's saying atypical Parkinson's syndrome. So this is picking it up long before you have any symptoms, but it's definitely showing up that the brain is in a depleted state, let's say.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Because for the past couple of years, periodically, I have used a nootropic, which it's not meant to be a nootropic, but it's called Depronil, and it increases the production of dopamine or opens the dopamine receptors or something to that effect. And its actual case use is for Parkinson's in huger doses. So you kind of microdose it and it keeps your dopamine levels high after 40, at least for males. But again, when there's something that your body's supposed to make, I don't take it all the time.
Yeah, you don't want to like shut down your own body's production.
Yeah.
But that could be why that's showing up.
That's
it's possible.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's it. So, that's it on the low numbers. So that's actually pretty good. Like you don't have a lot. The only thing I would say, just the big picture thing here is the thyroid and the heart. Your digestion, there was no low numbers. Pathogens, just that, couple things. Oh, there's one thing that's interesting I didn't mention here. It's a blockade, okay? It's a chemical blockade specifically, and it's saying gelsemium, Gelsemium. No idea what that is. It's some kind of a chemical, though, that is causing a chemical blockade is like blockage of flow of energy. So I have no idea where that chemical came from.
Got it. But I'm going to get the remedy and I'm going to fix it.
Yeah, it'll neutralize that. That's not a big deal.
So you see when you do a reading on someone, this obvious question, I guess, because you're still using this thing all these years later, but you do a reading on someone, you give them the remedy, which I'm sure we'll explain in further detail, then they come back and are then they generally cleared of those things after a period of time?
Generally what happens, most patients, what we do is we have them do a series of 6 remedies. So what happens is the things that are low right now, like your heart and your thyroid, we would see those numbers go higher, which means it's leaving your physical body. And then other numbers, which represent deeper issues, show up.
Oh,
and that's what we're going for. It usually takes about 6 remedies to get to the deepest part of the cell and then clean that up energetically.
Oh, interesting. So we're going for the low-hanging fruit first.
Yeah.
Kind of getting the debris out of the way, getting to the core system, and then addressing that.
Yeah, then we go deep. And then it's pretty amazing. Like when I first started doing this myself as a patient, my main complaint was I had a bad knee. And I had done a lot of therapies. I couldnn't sit cross-legged. And I was a yogi. I was like, oh my God, this is like, it was such a nagging issue. And I didn't really even think this was going to address it because it was such a physical thing. But on the 3rd round, the knee issue came up. And literally the next day when I started the remedy, the pain was gone.
Wow.
And it never came back.
Wow.
So that's what, at that point, I was like, okay, I need to really seriously get into this. That's when we did it.
Awesome.
Made the commitment.
All right, so how does the remedy work?
So the remedy is pretty much everything we just saw on that report and a lot more, because I didn't go over the high numbers, but those things actually represent noise in your field too. So all of that stuff gets neutralized. So what happens is we take this card, which has a magnetic strip on it, and we put it at the side of the machine, and basically the machine takes all those frequencies and it imprints it in a frequency format that the body then can recognize from the magnetic strip. So you're wearing this 24/7 for 2 weeks, and it's just working on you 24/7.
So you put on a little lanyard or something?
Yeah, just wear it on a string, and you just work. You sleep with it. You don't take a shower with it. That's about it.
Okay.
And you can't. You don't want to go through an X-ray machine.
Got it.
Yeah.
Or sit in front of the biocharger.
Right. Yeah. So we have people take it off for biocharger and pulse. Anything high magnetic energy.
Yeah.
You want to stay away from.
I have this amazing nervous system calming system called NuCalm, and it comes with a little disc with a quantum imprint of GABA and theanine and these different things, and it opens up the receptors for GABA when you have it on in a similar kind of way, I'm assuming, and then you listen to these special tracks that are like these deeply embedded tracks, like binaural beats on steroids. It's amazing, and it just knocks you into theta like that fast, and takes you on a 20 to 50 minute journey. And I would do it, and the disc lasts about a month if you do it a few times a week, roughly, And so I was doing it, and I was getting great effects, and then after a while I was like, I'm not getting the thing anymore, and I put on a new disc, and I'm like, it's not the disc. And eventually I interviewed the guy, and I said, yeah, man, so every day, I sit down with my NuCalm, I put the sticker on, I sit at the biocharger and do a session. He's like, dude, you're neutralizing the disc every time you do that. They're really expensive, dumbass. Like, don't go near PEMF. when you're dealing with something with subtle energies of electric current.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like diametrically opposed ways of thinking.
So, these are the things I learned, sometimes expensive lessons. But all right, so that's pretty much it for the cyber.
Well, we want to do the psyche too, because that'll just take a sec, but the psyche will show us where your main stressors are as far as, your underlying phobias, anxieties, all the different aspects of your psyche. That some of these things are crazy ass things. Some of them will just make total sense, So we'll see here in just a second what they are. And then that goes on the remedy too. So it's working on your psyche as well as your physical.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I need all the help I can get.
Okay, so let's see what we got. Again, I'm just going to look at the low numbers. First thing is somatogenic organic depression. Okay. So somato is your body, genetic is your genes, organic just, I guess that's just your body. So it's something with the body's, on some level, there's some kind of disconnect that's causing depression or leading to depression. Okay, serious endangerment from supposedly protected persons.
Like that would have been something in the past?
Yeah, an embedded, this is like an embedded thing.
Yeah, that would definitely apply in multiple occasions.
Yeah, rapid heartbeat. Okay, so there's the heart is showing up in your psyche. So we were seeing inflammation, and that's a panic response. So that's what that is. That inflammation is like a form of panic, actually. Okay, so then we've got obey, and we might want to shut that door. Okay, so obey is a positive emotion. Sometimes it'll show positive things, right? So you're a natural obeyer.
Yeah, I follow universal laws.
And loyalty.
Yes.
Good one. So you got two positives. That's great.
I love that. That's interesting actually because of course I have many faults like every other person, but loyalty is one of my most prized principles and character traits.
Yeah, and it shows
myself primarily, and then of course one I seek in others. Yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, the next one though is so listlessness and lack of energy. So that's related to fear. Okay, so that's a fear thing. Intolerance, that's a negative emotion. Insomnia. Okay, let's see what that's related to. That's that's related to emotions too. Okay, hysteria. That is a neurosis. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. Hypersensitivity, and that is a negative emotion. And gestures and facial expressions. Wow, that's interesting. That's behavioral. It's a behavioral thing. Genius. There we go. We always knew you were a genius. That's actually a positive emotion.
My favorite result so far.
Yeah. Not too many of those. Okay. Feeling of being powerless. Okay, so that's another. So there's, that's panic. So I would say panic is a theme here a little bit. So it's probably good for you to put yourself in situations that create panic. To face
Exposure therapy.
Yeah, to face it.
Public speaking is kind of that for me.
Yeah. Fear of noise and sounds. Interesting.
That's true. I find noise pollution and loud noises to be really jarring.
Yeah.
Where people don't even notice it.
Yeah.
Like, case in point where I live is, in Laurel Canyon. It's not that much traffic, but I hear the cars that go by out front of my house, like they're in my room. And last night, I was trying to put the fan on for white noise. And my girlfriend was like, "Oh, that noise keeps me awake. Can we, find a solution?" I said, "Well, don't these cars wake you up all night to go by?" She's like, "What? I've never heard a car once go by her house ever." She's like, "I didn't even know we live on a street. That's how quiet it is." So yeah.
Yeah, so that's coming up as a phobia.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Fear of narrow or enclosed spaces. Okay, that's claustrophobia.
Wow, I'm really good at float tanks and hyperbaric chambers, so
Yeah, I don't know what
I feel like I'm working through that one.
Fear of having worms.
Okay.
That's a good one. Fear of spiders. Whoa. Yeah, I was in my kitchen today and I saw a spider. I'm not kidding you, this big. I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Like crawling up the wall. I'm like, damn, that is a big ass spider. I thought about killing it, but then I'm like, no, just let it be.
Yeah, he's probably doing good work in there.
Yeah. Okay, so what else we got going on here? Okay, collapse of the normal regulatory loop of the stress axis caused by an external event or extreme event. Okay, that's interesting. That is a trauma. It's basically trauma, stress, traumatization.
Yeah.
Okay, CJUN. What is that? Stress gene, immediate early genes. That's a stress and trauma one. Okay, agitated depression. Okay, there's another depression one. Okay, so that's a pretty interesting. I mean, you've got like a nice balance between positive and negative. I would say, fears and phobias. So the card's going to neutralize all of it, which is awesome. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, you've always seemed pretty damn happy. So whatever you're doing, I want some of. Bartender, I'll have whatever you got.
Okay, so now the last thing we'll do is we'll do the male, because male, female. So we're just going to do the male thing to see what's going on. Prostate, bladder. This is also looking at any fungal kind of things that are happening. Okay, let's see. And it looks pretty good. Not much, nothing really showing up there.
Cool. Thank you, ozone machine.
Yeah. You doing rectal ozone?
Yeah, quite a lot now, especially with all this drama going around.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to also drop in essences, remedy for stress management, detox, and drainage. I don't really go over those. I just put them in the remedy.
Okay.
But they're flower essences basically to help more with the emotional body.
Cool.
And then we put in chemtrail protection,
yes,
electrosmog, and geopathic stress.
Oh, amazing.
So all those things go on the card. So you're not only is it working on all your physical things, but it's protecting you from the EMF stuff too.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. This is one thing that it's interesting with the cyber scan. It seems to me this would be like the biohacker's dream because it's going so deep into the person's psyche as well as their physical stuff. So if you're doing a lot of biohacking, this is definitely a must because you can do a lot with biohacking, but then you have to deal with the subtle.
Right.
This is like more of the subtle stuff. Okay, so here we go. So now we're going to actually make the remedy for you. And one other thing we do is we actually generate a list of affirmations that are based on your morphogenetic field. So those will be like these are like gold basically because it'll tune right into your exactly what your psyche needs right now.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we're going to generate those. Okay. Card from here.
All right, so what he's doing now, those listening, he's programming or getting ready to unpack the card and then putting the remedy program on the card.
Yeah. And these are one-time use, so basically we make it's good for 2 weeks, and then we have to make a brand new one. So,
okay.
Yeah. We don't reprogram these. I'll put
it on the calendar.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to print the affirmations. Make the card.
Sweet.
Yep.
All right, and with that, I just wear that thing 24/7 with the exception of magnetic fields and getting wet.
Yeah.
And come back in 2 weeks for the next
Next round, and we'll see. Yeah, we'll
Cool.
see. Yeah.
Sweet. All right, so that wraps up the cyber scan portion, and we'll go ahead and move on to the next thing in a moment.
Great.
Those of you watching on Instagram and Facebook here, we're continuing on with Dr. Har Hari and our friend Troy Casey, the certified health nut, who is the patient zero today. So go ahead and break down what this laser is called for us, Har Hari, and what it does.
This is the Epoch Laser. It's a class 4 980 nanometer laser. And this is something I recently was introduced to about 2 months ago, actually, as a patient myself. I broke my foot. And I had the operator treat my foot, and literally the rest of the day, I was in a boot at that point. It was like I didn't have a broken foot. It was incredible how effective this laser was for the pain. So since then, I acquired it, which I'm really pleased because I've already had some amazing results with laser. I had a lady here yesterday who had acute leg and hip pain where she couldn't even almost drive her car. It was so much pain. One treatment, pain's gone.
Wow,
Yeah.
I'm going to be seeing you with that thing, dude.
Yeah, but more than that, though, it's also reversing chronic stuff. Like we went through a whole educational thing with the inventor where people with like seriously degenerated discs with sciatic were completely reversed on MRI. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and also people with COPD, which is lung breathing issues. One guy, he was telling us he could barely walk across the room, and they lasered his lungs, and he could play 9 holes of golf.
Damn.
Yeah, so this is like a regeneration technology. It's not just for getting out of pain. It actually helps regenerate. It stimulates stem cells and ATP production deep within the cell.
Is it energy frequency medicine or?
It's using high intensity light. 980 nanometer is the deepest penetrating light that you can do based on the research. It gets in about that deep into the tissue. So we're getting the cells that deep and activating ATP.
For those listening, he's signaling about 3 inches deep.
Yeah, it's about 3 inches deep.
So it's going to improve mitochondrial function.
Totally,
Is that
yeah.
correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and regenerate cells too. Get the cell regeneration.
Great, because I came here prepared to do PIDA today, which he slaps the shit out of me, and I'm prepared to do that. But if this works,
we can do this. We can do that after. But you'll be amazed just from doing one session.
So Troy, tell us what you got going on in your back and your shoulder that you want him to work on right now.
So a couple of weeks ago, I was about a month and a half ago, I was getting some really good workouts in. I did my whole Ripped at 50, book launch, and I was feeling really good muscular wise. I was thinking I was going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger here in my 50s, and I was doing more shoulder presses. And I was just doing heavier and heavier weight, and I was getting some really good pumps. Not only that, my tricep, and then it totally froze up on me. And I've got referral pain that goes in and all around my shoulder, refers up into my neck, and then it goes down and it wraps around my quadratus laborum down here underneath my ribs. And so I've had my Rolfer, I've had my Chinese medicine guy, I've done wet cupping, bloodletting, and I've done quite a few things, and it hasn't really solved the problem. And my shoulders just feel tweaked, and it feels really weird too. I don't know if it's, I had the black mold exposure, and I had some weird autoimmune stuff, and I had joint pain that would go from joint to joint, like really weirdo stuff.
I have that shit, that migrating joint pain.
Yeah. I think it might be exacerbated because I referred to Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, and he's saying that all the 5G is starting to kick in, and the ambient Wi-Fi and the cell phone tower radiation. And I think it might be that, because I also talked to my friend Simon Rex, and he explained, just lifting his covers off of his bed, he was getting shoulder pain. And so I'm hearing it from other people as well, and I'm thinking, I live an extremely healthy lifestyle, and I don't like having my shoulders just out. I lower my stress levels, I get good sleep, I have good nutrition, good hydration. And so what else could it be? So I'm interested in having the doctor see if he can alleviate it.
Yeah, let's
All right, let's give it a shot here.
Okay,
So for those of you listening who aren't privy to the video, we've got a unit like, about as big as a shoebox or so with a wire coming off it, and then there's a diode, which is quite larger than any of the lasers I've seen, like the ones I use at home, the PowerMedic lasers that are battery operated. And then he's got a little foot switch. Hari, what does the foot switch do?
This is by law. With this type of laser, you have to activate with your foot because it's a safety precaution.
Oh, cool. And we're also, for those watching, we're wearing some really cool laser eye protection, which is necessary too.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing about this laser that differentiates it from, say, the K or any other high-powered laser out there is the scientist who worked on this, he worked on the physics of the light so that the power density where the light is actually hitting the skin is completely even. So if you look at like a density pattern of most other lasers, there'll be spikes and holes in the density, so the therapy isn't as deep as it could be. And so this, the cord or the attachment cord that has the fiber optics in it, these are made in Germany because of the specifications of this laser. It's super precise to get that even power density going in.
I mean, it looks powerful as hell, that red light coming off.
Well, the red light is actually just a pointer.
Oh, no way.
The light itself you can't see because
it's
980 nanometer is in the infrared range.
God.
But you can feel it. You feel some heat.
Feel it.
Yeah, there's some heat coming through there.
So, Troy, what are you feeling on your shoulder as he migrates around there with that damn thing?
Well, it feels like it's heating up a little bit inside there, but it also feels like subtle energies as well. And so I'm very sensitive to all energy, and I can feel it penetrating pretty deeply.
Rad.
Yeah, it feels amazing.
Cool, man. All right. All right, on to the next thing, Har Hari, and now we've got an addition, our friend Troy Casey here, the certified health nut. So, we did the laser on Troy, and we've done the cyber scan. So now we're going to move on to this thing here, which sounds really fascinating. So tell us what this thing is.
The thing is called a Healey, and it's from Germany. It's another biofeedback device from Germany. They call it quantum sensing, actually. So the thing that this thing does is it delivers up to 250,000 frequencies through different protocols, through either wristbands or remotely to change your frequency, to actually raise your frequency. So that's what it's all about right now, is we need to raise our frequency.
Raise the vibrations.
Yeah. So I'm using this daily, and it's mind blowing.
Well, like I said before, you're one of the happiest guys I know. So when you're on some shit, I'm like, give me that. Whatever it is.
Well, he started with the breath work 40 years ago with Yogi Bhajan.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Breath work works, guys.
Yeah. Big proponent.
The Kundalini yoga, will definitely change your attitude.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to hold up this device here in the camera for our future video onlookers. So, oops, it was upside down.
This is a cyber scan?
No, this is called a Healey.
Ooh, this is new?
Yeah, this is new.
It looks like it has a little belt clip, so once you program and get it going, you just cruise
can just
around.
wear it. Yeah.
All right,
Awesome.
carry on with the explanation and demo.
Okay, so basically there's two programs. One is a resonance program that scans you, and then it'll tell you what you need. And it could be anything from a homeopathic, a flower essence, or any of the frequency programs that Healey delivers, because there's 120 different programs. So it'll tell you which one you need. So with you, we can start with homeopathics and then send you remotely the homeopathic that you need. So let's say you had like a flu or a cold or even the COVID virus, let's say. We could scan you, find the homeopathic that treats you specifically, and then it sends you the frequency remotely. So that's a really cool thing with this device. So what we'll do, we do it through the
So
phone.
this is all cutting edge, or?
Yeah, it's totally cutting edge, dude.
And is it an expansion of Rife technology and Victor Schauber?
Yeah, I mean it's like Rife technology on steroids, because it's got all those frequencies, but it's actually testing the body to see which ones it needs in real time. So we'll start with resonance. Actually, we'll do Troy because I'm sitting next to you. I got your name in there. So we'll go with the, we could do flower essences with Troy. So we'll do a Bach flower. So basically, you're going to just stick your thumb. Should we show them what it looks like?
Show them the app? Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the app before, and then we're going to start the analysis. So he's going to stick his thumb right on the screen. Just stick your thumb right there and keep it there until the scan is over.
So guys, we're watching the app now read Troy's thumbprint, and it's creating a waveform that's picking up the subtle frequencies, I'm assuming, in the microcurrent of his skin.
And it also has his info in there too.
Right, so his place and date of birth and what.
And he also put his, he held the unit before we did this.
Oh, okay.
And that recorded his vibration,
So it's recording my biofield?
Yeah, exactly. It's reading your energy right now. And boom. Okay, take your thumb off. And then we're going to have a printout here. So I'll just show you. So it has a printout, and you can see it's all we'll go over what those things are. But, okay, so it'll tell us which ones. So you could go down to your health food store and just get these, or we can send it to you remotely. So the first one that came up, and it tells you the percentage. So 67% is like high priority, olive, okay? And it's the burden of extreme exhaustion of body, mind, and soul is balanced. One's own regeneration, recovery, and revitalization are strengthened, and thereby the personal development potential is supported. Essential oil, rosemary, gemstone, amber, orchid, monochis orchid. So that's what it's recommending. And I can send you a PDF of this, okay? Mustard, the burden of sadness and melancholy is balanced. The joy of life and cheerfulness is strengthened even on difficult days, and thereby the personal development potential is supported. Essential oil, muscal, gemstone, honey, calcite, orchid, galantica, okay. Star of Bethlehem provides relief after mental stress and shock, gives comfort. Heather, the burden of escape into a toddler's role, one puts oneself and his problems in the center and makes oneself exaggeratedly dependent on others, is balanced. Understanding and empathy are strengthened, and thereby the personal development potential is supported. Essential oil, clementine, gemstone, malachite, and orchid philanthias.
So it sounds like it's going into my like core wound.
Yeah, this is going to heal that, and we're going to program it to do that right now. Burden of self-reproach. Okay, so the next one is pine. Okay, and these are all things you could actually make a remedy yourself. Make your own remedy and take it orally or use the program. The burden of self-reproaches and feelings of guilt. One asks for maximum achievements which one cannot fulfill, is compensated. The recognition and acceptance of one's own limitations and mistakes combined with self-love and tolerance of one's own weaknesses is strengthened, and thereby the personal development potential supported. Essential oil is rosewood, gem is lapis, and orchid is lapanica. Okay, so now we can go to action. So we can either send you the PDF, which I'll do later, and vibrate, which is sending you the remedy. So we'll just send you the remedy right now for like a minute. It's actually sending that frequency right now.
And so what I find interesting about this is that this stuff all comes from, well, not all, but much of it comes from Germany, which is the most left brain, analytical, mathematic,
technology,
critical mind, and this shit sounds like it comes from like Atlantis or, in an underground cave under Mount Shasta from the Palladians or whatever.
Well, the guy behind this technology.
You know what I mean, though? It's like you would not think woo-woo shit's coming out of Germany.
Well, the reason why this is the way it is the guy behind this, his name is Marcus Schminkel. He's a monk. He lived 14 years in India as a monk, and he developed all these programs to work on raising people's vibration Okay, well, we'll just let that go. So these programs are based on his life as a monk.
Interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting, background behind this technology.
I just always found that so fascinating. And a lot of the cutting edge technology comes out of Russia too, which is not a touchy-feely woo-woo, unicorns and rainbows, like let's feel energy kind of place as I imagined it to be, although I've not yet been there.
But governments and other facets of our society, they sent a faction of investigators over to the Far East in, I think, the 1800s. In the book, The Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, they sent over these like scientific operatives to discover these masters that were said to stop their heart, be in 2 places at one time, etc. And I think something like 10 out of the 12 operatives that went to go see these guys stayed there to study with the masters. So this type of information has been out for a long time. The CIA, there was a movie called Men Who Stare at Goats about psychic abilities. And so the research of paranormal and time travel, Operation Bluebird, the Philadelphia experiment, they've been working with energies and physics of matter for a very long time. They've been working to discover information about the psychic abilities. So this isn't really new, it's just not at the forefront.
Yeah, like the military using remote viewing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. That's a good observation, because I have a hard time finding that connection. So I think what it is that it's not that these cultures that are so scientific and grounded in reality, we're led to believe that there's 2 different worlds, right? That there's science and spirit, and that they don't mix, and one negates the other.
Right.
Whereas the knowers at the top of the pyramid, I guess you could say, understand that it's all one thing, that within science there is spirit. And so mysticism is quite scientific.
Well, and science is the observation, the methodology of observation. And if you've studied science over the years, things evolve. I think I heard a quote one time, I think 2/3 of all Nobel Prizes in science get overturned within 10 years, something like that. And it makes sense because we discovered the electron microscope, we've developed the Hubble telescope, so we can see things differently. And then you back this up with my meditation teacher, talked about the Buddha discovered that our trillions of cells are oscillating at such a high rate. And then the scientists in Berkeley in the 60s or 70s discovered that it's like 1 with 23 zeros behind it, our cells are oscillating, And so I think science is only catching up to what the spiritual masters have figured out a long time ago.
Okay, so how do you feel? We just did a little treatment. You feel something?
I feel great.
Awesome.
You got remarkably articulate all of a sudden. He's always articulate.
Well, you're next, so we're going to see it.
The funny thing is that talked all about my childhood wound. And I realized that, over the years, I used to be a very angry person and very reactive. And I always thought I had the happy-go-lucky in me, but it just didn't come out as much. And I used to drink a lot and have my worries go away with alcohol and all that stuff. And a lot of my yoga principles and Taoist principles that I've adopted into my life has helped me manage my energy over the years to where I've had mastery over my own psychology and my own biology. But when I'm reading that, it says that something about misery or something about pain, but I ride my bicycle and film it on Instagram all the time, and it's like, I'm gonna fake it until I make it, and it's like, whether I inspire other people or I inspire myself, I'd rather be riding my bicycle and smiling and singing A Wonderful Day in the Neighborhood than really just going into my subconscious and unconscious and go, oh, the world's a scary place, and I'm such a wounded victim, and the world will never be better. And so it's funny that it kind of pegged that, and then it reflected back to me that I am baking it until I make it, or what I'm doing on social media right now.
Really just, it's getting the, like you said, the core wound. And, we all have that. So it's just like working on the energetics of it a little bit to tweak it So it just makes everything easier.
Well, and what I'm doing on the Instagram right now is the smile challenge. Just try it. Try this for 10 seconds and see what happens.
Dude, that's actually a really profound practice. I don't remember where I picked this up. I think it was some like a body language coach or something like that, where you can use your physiology to change your emotions. And of course, likewise, your physiology is just an expression of your emotions, but it goes both ways. And so I started doing this thing where I'd be on my way to on a date or a scary business meeting or something, and I would roll up the windows of my car and just be like, I want to do it too loud in the mic, but I just start laughing my ass off, like fake laughing for like a good 15 minutes. Just going crazy, smiling, laughing, like, I was just completely ecstatic, even though inside what I was feeling subjectively was anxiety. And I still do this from time to time. Is just laugh like a maniac to get myself in a different state.
Well, lots of research on this, and Tony Robbins is big on this. I think raising your hands over your head for like 2 minutes makes you a complete victor. If you're walking into a business meeting or something, or audition. I used to be an actor and used to get so nervous about that. Just lifting your hands and just, because that's the victor, right? Yeah. Just that type of energy for a couple of minutes will change your whole biochemistry and your physiology.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of elevator footage of me going into various businesses in Hollywood over the years and doing that kind of eagle pose and, lion's breath, tongue out shit in the elevator. Then people walk in, I'm like, hey, how are you? I wasn't just doing that. Okay,
get ready to scan here.
Yeah,
so go ahead and stick your thumb on there. We'll
okay.
So we're doing
last time I did this, I ended up in handcuffs. Okay.
So we're doing homeopathics now. So this will be a little different. It's like
Materia Medica.
Yeah.
So it's doing the whole wave of your biochemistry or
the biorhythm or the
energetics.
Morphogenetic field.
There you go.
Yeah. It's measuring the field.
Yeah, earlier, Troy, when we did the other guy over there, the cyber scan, pretty flying colors, I would say. I would describe my results. Nothing too jarring, doing pretty well on that thing. Stoked about.
So these things are, why don't you explain these? Because I don't usually wear glasses unless I am inside. But these are Tesla technology?
They're called Tesla Hyperlight glasses, and they have C60 embedded in the lens, the carbon C60 buckyball.
Yeah.
And it basically, what it does when the light goes through those buckyballs, it creates a toroidal field which heals the eye, any condition with the eye, and it balances and harmonizes all the neurons in the brain. So it's good for focus, mood, sleep, anxiety, anything that's mental related. It helps balance it out.
These things are great.
I'm sold.
And they're blue blockers.
Yeah, that's the thing. At first I just thought, he's got really great frames with some blue blockers, but can I try these?
Yeah, sure.
But then you guys said, no, it's even deeper. Like, oh God, that's such a relief from that studio light. You gotta have these things though, otherwise your videos look like shit. Yeah. These though are fluorescent, and because they're made for video, they don't flicker. So at least you got that. They're really gnarly blue, but they don't flicker, which is one good thing I looked for. But this feels really good.
And they look good too. I like the design.
You know what's trippy with these actually is when I'm a bit, I forget if it's near or farsighted, but when I try to read that is all blurry. And I can't say that it makes me able to read it like my glasses, but it does produce a bit more clarity.
Coherence.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, so you want to say, we got your results.
All right. What
so first thing is Nux vomica, which is a real common homeopathic, and it's for hangovers, indigestion, irritability, constipation, vomiting, and colds. That's the physical level, but then on the emotional level, it's colds that are free-flowing indoors and stuffed up outdoors, a work hard, play hard type. Also the nervy, very irritable patient who does not tolerate fools gladly. A strong constitution, they work hard to get things right. And this can be obsessive, involving very long hours.
Obsessive?
Followed by disruptive sleep from worrying about work still to be done. These patients are upset by the slightest thing. They can be upset by noise, drafts, light, all those things we talked about earlier. So that's interesting.
Yeah, there's a correlation there.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, it keeps going on and on, but I just wanted so that's the first one. Then staphysagria, that's for resentment and feeling physically or emotionally cut up
Wow.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. Lacerated wounds. Suppression of emotions, particularly in relationships. Suppressed indignation. Very excitable and easily aroused. Problems arising from having no normal outlet for expressing emotion. So that's your fifth chakra, the thyroid. That's interesting. It's a little deeper insight into that. Gelasineum, that is influenza, anticipatory anxiety, and agoraphobia. These are just the classic things for that, homeopathic. And it says, presents the classic flu picture. So that's like it doesn't mean you have it, but that's in the field right now, right?
Yeah.
So this is working on the field. The eyes are heavy and droopy. The patient is cold and complains of chills. The head is aching. So those are just physical, symptoms. But it also is related to emotional challenge, public performance, legs and throat. Throat came up. That's the throat one. Chamomile. That's the next one. That is related to teething in infants, fractious child, anger associated with pain. So chamomile relieves conditions characterized by heat, irritability, thirst, and pain. Okay, so
then the device is going.
So now I'm going to I can either send you a PDF where you can go out and actually get these homeopathics and take them, or we'll vibrate, and that's what we'll do now. We'll just we're actually sending the frequency. So you're getting all of those homeopathics energetically right now.
And how long does that last, that transmission?
We can set the time for however long you want. Like if it's just like a chronic condition, you would do it like 3 times a day for 5 minutes. But if it's an acute thing and you're like laid up in bed with the flu, you could run it 8 hours. Just run it constantly for the patient.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's running right now. So I just have it run for a minute just so you get a little dose of it. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Actually, I wish I had these things every podcast I record, if I could just have some kind of frequencies happening.
Yeah.
I guess I do sometimes of various types, but that's very cool. Tell us the name of this one once again before we
This one is called the Healey Resonance.
Healey Resonance.
Yeah.
Made in Germany, and those run what you said around $600.
Well, there's $600 just for the basic unit, where you get this unit, and then also you can run it from these wristbands too. So I'll show you that part now.
Okay.
So basically, you hook this thing up with these electrodes on the side of it, and then we can run. Basically, we put these wristbands on you. Go ahead, why don't you put those on, and then we'll run a little bit so you can get the sense of what it is. Let's see. Here, let me do it for you. So you're going to go like this direction.
Oh, right.
Yeah. These have been used by many patients, so they're kind of tattered.
So they're like similar to they're conductive, like a grounding strap.
Exactly.
Right?
You'll feel it actually. It's a microcurrent. So this part of the Healey is actually physical. So the one we're doing right now, the resonance is more subtle energy, but the actual this one is going to be actual like frequency that you're going to feel going through your wrist.
Kind of like the that thing, the soda pulsar.
Yes, like that.
SOTA, soda pulsar. Yeah, interesting.
So this is like that, except it's actually giving you frequencies that are, that it's actually sensing.
Right.
So it has a quantum sensing aspect to it. So now I'm hooking up a different app. This is just the straight Healey app that runs the Healey program.
Oh, okay, cool.
So now I'll just show you what the programs look like here. So you've got Gold Cycle, local stimulation, learning, fitness, job, sleep, mental balance, beauty, skin, bioenergetic balance, meridians, chakras, protection, deep cycle, bioenergetic support, and then therapist programs. So, and among those, it breaks down. So like if we go in the Gold Cycle, you've got 8 different ones.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just going to run the pure just so you get a sense. Okay. So what happens is it's going to download the program right now onto the Healey. It's communicating like Bluetooth. Mm-hmm. Takes about 30 seconds or so. And then once that's on there, we adjust the intensity till you just barely feel it. and then it runs for like 40 or 50 minutes.
Oh, cool.
And it's just treating you the whole time with frequencies.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So I could keep this on for a little while.
Yeah, you can wear it as we go around.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
sweet, dude.
Yeah.
I love this stuff.
So one question that I had to ask you.
Wait, before you do that, I'm going to turn it up now. Tell me when you feel it. You'll just get a little tingling in your wrists. Okay.
Oh yeah, I got a little.
Okay, so
some.
Yeah. Okay, so then we'll just leave it there. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to ask you. So as far as the COVID virus scare pandemic that we're illusioning right now. I mean, you're a doctor. Can people come in and see you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm legally able to see patients because I'm a physician. So if somebody has an emergency, they can come in.
Cool.
Sore back, any injury. No, it's totally legal. We're one of the exceptions to the rule right now, actually.
Wow, that's great. Because when I was driving over here today, I was like, oh man, what am I going to say if I get pulled over,
Yeah.
Especially smoking a CBD blunt. Like, I was like, how am I going to explain that to a cop? Like, no, I'm sober. I don't smoke weed at all, actually. This is CBD. There's no THC, sir. Had this whole conversation with myself. It's not like the fucking tour bus of a rap group. But I was thinking, I'm like, no, I'm on my way to a medical clinic. I'm good, man. I'm legit.
Yeah, no, we're totally good to see people.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But we generally, if someone comes in real sick, I encourage them to not.
Sure.
I haven't seen anybody like that yet.
Yeah, good, because I've been touching the shit out of my face in here.
Yeah.
No, I was kidding. So I think that's pretty much it for the Healey.
Yeah, we're good on the Healey. Yeah, but the Healey is amazing. I mean, I've seen. I'm trying to think some of the things that just personally I've dealt with some chronic pain, or actually, no, I had pain in my foot. Like sometimes you get dry feet and cracked. I had like one of the worst cracks I've ever had in my life. It was like lacerated. And the pain, it was like searing pain, basically. And I used the local stimulation just on my earlobes for the brain. It was completely gone. Mm-hmm. I mean, I still have the laceration, but no pain. Like completely zeroed out.
I love that.
And I use it daily just to kind of tweak my energy. Like when I'm in bed, I'll do one of the programs for whatever I feel like I need. It's just a great thing to have at home. It's really more to be used at home.
Yeah.
It's like a home therapy.
Yeah, and it's fairly accessible compared to a lot of this stuff that's more practitioner priced,
Yeah.
The Pulse Center is $40,000 unit, not everyone can jump on board with that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that's the Healey. We'll go ahead and wrap up this, and I'll move on to our next modality.
Cool.
And do you think they ship these glasses like right now? Are they coming from Germany? Or?
They're in Canada. I think you can get them.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna order these today.
Me too. What are they called? Tesla
Lightwear.
Tesla Lightwear on it. All right.
Because they're really good, and there's a clarity to them that I don't get with my blue blockers. I have the raw optics like you.
Yeah.
And there's a much more clarity and ease that I'm getting.
Because it's actually healing your eye. It's not just blocking the blue.
Dope. Guys, watching on Insta and Facebook, we're back again for yet another tour. We're going to be talking about the Pulse Center's PMF bed that I've done a podcast on previously, and then this plasma field, which we're going to be talking about.
Super psycho chicken hippy dippy dude.
It's going to be wild. And Troy's like he's our guinea pig today, our test dummy. So a smart test dummy. So we're going to do that. And for audio video editing, we'll take a slate in 3, 2, 1. All right. So here we are in yet another room of the clinic here. And just when I think we've come across everything, we come in here and there's a Pulse Center chair, 2 Pulse Centers PMF beds, and then this crazy ass plasma chamber. So give us a little breakdown. I have interviewed the guys from Pulse Centers before. I forget which episode offhand, but we'll put it in the show notes. But what kind of cases do you use the pulse electromagnetic field for? Give us a basic rundown of how it works, some of the stuff you've seen with it.
Well, I was the first patient, so I'm patient number 1. I injured my knee hiking on the lava in Hawaii, and I came back and I had a week to heal my knee before I went skiing in Utah. And so I went down to the center, the Bulletproof was the first place in LA who had it. And so I thought, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to see if this thing really works. And I pulsed my knee literally just 3 times, just did the pulse on my knee, and knee was better. So that was it for me. I was sold. I knew the thing could help my patients. And we've had it for now a year and a half. We treated probably hundreds of patients with it. It is amazing. It helps with serious trauma. We had a guy who came in here. He was snowboarding and fell and tore up dislocated his shoulder, and he was immobilized. Like, he could not move. And we just laid him on the bed. He came in every day for a week, and he was pretty much better in a week. So that's like a trauma case. But we also have people who've had like surgeries where they've, had scarring all over their body, a lot of adhesions, which causes a lot of problems in the body. And so we've seen amazing results with those patients as well. We had a guy who was a stroke victim. He was a gunshot wound, got shot in the head. Actually, he ended up with a severe stroke. He was lucky to be alive, and he lost a lot of his cognitive function. And he pulsed every day for 8 months. He'd come here at 6 a.m. We pulse his brain.
Really? On the brain you did it?
Yeah, we did it directly on the brain for an hour a day, just right on his brain, and he got his life back. Took about 8 months, but he can read, he can send emails. He couldn't do any of that prior to doing the pulse.
Wow.
But yeah, it's the range of things that it helps are amazing. I mean, there's really nothing it doesn't help, because if you have cells, it's going to charge your cells up and give your body more energy for healing.
And so with this particular unit here, the XL Pro, the reason that I found this one really cool is that you can change not only the frequency, or which frequency you're using, but also the intensity.
Yeah, that makes it really user-friendly.
Right. And how do you figure out, if it's a knee, like how do you figure out if it's going to be a da-da-da-da-da pulse, or if it's going to be a boom, boom, boom?
Generally, the lower part of the body, we're going lower frequency. Okay. Generally. Although, like, I broke my foot a couple months ago, and I used the high frequency because the high frequency stimulates stem cells. So I was doing it at 7.8, 9.9 on the foot, because that rapidly stimulates stem cell production. But generally, the higher frequency you're going to use your head, like 9.9 on the head. 5.0 is more like a very strong physical, like if you've got joint, muscle thing, you want to break down adhesions. 5 is the strongest. Most people do 3 though, because it's a little gentler.
Yeah.
It depends on your tolerance to deal with, because it can be painful.
It can. Like we have the different attachments. You have these big paddles and stuff that are over here on the wall. Yeah. You have the bed, you have the chair, you have the paddles, and man, if you put those paddles on an injury site and you hit it with those really slower frequencies, the I mean, it feels like someone's hitting you with a little tack hammer.
Yeah, and that's what I did when I treated my knee. I did it like at 3, I think. And it healed my knee up really quick.
Cool, man. All right, cool. I'm glad we get to revisit that. Yeah. Now that I know where there's 2 beds in Los Angeles, you know where my ass is going to be. I go to this place on Beverly called Tonic Wellness, and I go there and use theirs. They have the chair and a couple attachments, but they have the unit that's a little less sophisticated because it doesn't have the frequency.
Probably the X1.
Yeah, it doesn't. You can just change the intensity, but not the frequency. Yeah, and so it's it's still great. I mean, I get a lot of benefit out of it, but I can't do really targeted treatments like that.
Yeah, this is the XL is the best. It's amazing. Yeah.
All right, well, tell us about the plasma bed.
Okay, well, this thing is an amazing tool. So I first heard about this technology 10 years ago. I watched a lecture from Kesh Foundation, this guy named Kesh. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No.
You should put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
Kesh Foundation.
Okay.
Anyway, this guy, he's a physicist from Iran, real smart guy, and he was talking about plasma fields back 10 years ago and using them for healing. At that point, I had no idea what he was talking about because I wasn't quite into all this stuff at that point. Had some familiarity with PEMF, but that's about it. Yeah. And he was talking about plasma fields, which literally I had no idea what he was talking about. And I kind of just put it off, a file, just filed away. And then about 5 years ago, I heard a lecture from this engineer from the Department of Defense. and he was talking about GANs, which is what this is. GANs is the plasma field technology. And he was saying how amazing it is to help the body. And I'm like, okay, this guy's legitimate second source information. At that point, though, there was nothing on the market that was available that I could even try. And then it was back in October, a patient of mine calls me up and says, hey, there's this guy who just drove down from Canada. He wants to meet you. He was called by God. Literally, he just got called to come to LA from Manitoba, Canada. And he shows up in my office with a little tube of this liquid that's in this chamber. And he's like, here, hold this. So I'm holding the tube and we're talking, right? I mean, I held the tube for like 20 minutes. And then the next thing I know, my whole body's vibrating. I'm just like, whoa, what is this? It's like this GAN. So it's high spin electron ormus. That's another word for it, basically. It's a form of ormus. And they have a process they do to make it. So the stuff in this particular chamber is seawater and iron water that's turned into ormus. So when you go in that chamber, the liquids are flowing clockwise and counterclockwise, both directions.
Through these tubes.
Yeah, they're flowing. There's pumps. So I turn it on, and so your whole aura is surrounded in this ormus. And it's really hard to explain what you feel, but it's profound. It feels like you're going into like a cosmic womb. And the way that the inventor told me is that basically this is like a Faraday cage. So it's totally sealing you off from the outside frequencies. So we all know that those frequencies that we're constantly bombarding us are weakening us. So when you go in there, you're in a neutral cage away from those frequencies. So just that part of it is super relaxing. So like, I guess the most impactful case I've seen so far was a friend of mine who was an ex-Navy SEAL, and he suffered PTSD. He had insomnia for 20 years, okay? Couldn't sleep for 20 years. He went in this thing one time, one hour session. He called me the next night and goes, dude, my insomnia is gone. I'm able to go to sleep for the first time in 20 years. I was like, whoa. And so you'll quickly see when Troy goes, because he's sensitive. The first time I did it was like, I was like, whoa, felt like I was doing a medicine journey. It literally, because all those frequencies that you get from doing medicine, they get kind of like flushed out of your system because we're in this soup of shit. So when you go in there, you get access to those deeper, more subtle energies. And so that's kind of, it's very rejuvenating. It's not really giving you any energy treatment. It's just giving your body a chance to heal in a neutral space.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Actually, that's very cool. Wow, that's wild. So those are tubes that have the liquids, the ormus liquids in them. That's really interesting. I was thinking it was going to be light, but that was, like photonic energy or something.
The weird thing was, Joe Rogan had this astronaut on his show about a month ago. This guy spent like 98 days in the space station. And he was saying when they go to bed at night, you know what they do? They take plastic jugs of water and put them around their head because the water absorbs the cosmic radiation.
Oh, wow.
So this is almost the same idea. It's like those tubes are absorbing all that radiation that's coming through and like just protecting you.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I was one of the times I recorded with Jack Cruz. We were at a hotel. We were both speaking at this event, and we were out in the hot tub. And he goes, guys, because it's us youngsters around, and he's schooling us all. And he said, you know what? Right now, you're in the safest place you could be in all of LA for EMFs, radiation.
Yeah.
And what do you mean? We're in Marina Del Rey, man. There's towers all over. He said, no, you're in a hot tub. This is a Faraday cage. Anytime you're in water, you're Faraday.
You're grounded.
Yeah, you're grounded, and electromagnetic fields don't penetrate through water.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah, so that's kind of the idea of this chamber, is that aspect of
That's super cool. Well, let's throw Troy's ass in there and see if it turns green or something.
Yeah! Let's do it, baby. Turn off my electrical
the
fields.
crazy thing about this chamber is the kid who built it. Okay, so the Couch Foundation, because they have some pretty amazing clinical things. I don't even want to talk about it on film because I'll tell you privately.
Yeah.
But they were ridiculous, types of cases. And anyway, because they had those cases and documented them, they're now selling a similar chamber for $1 million.
Whoa.
Yeah. These guys are nuts.
Whoa.
So Thomas, the guy who built this, his whole mission is to get it out there, but at a reasonable.
How much are these beds?
It's hard to say because it's such a new thing. This is literally a prototype.
Oh, okay.
But it's probably going to range between 15 and 20,000.
Okay.
Something like that for a clinic.
Yeah.
Or somebody who's got high net worth and they want one in their house.
Yeah.
Slide it in. Here we go.
So the audio, our subject, Troy, has just been, it's very much set up like an MRI machine in terms of the mechanics. It's a big tube with a bed that slides in on rollers, just like you kind of would in an MRI, but it's way more chill vibes in terms of how it looks and probably feels.
And so I just turned the pumps on too. So there's two pumps, one that's going clockwise and one that's going counterclockwise. And then it's just bathing his energy field.
Wow, how cool. And how long is a typical treatment?
Most people, 20 minutes would be short treatment. When I broke my foot, I went in there for 5 hours. And the cool thing is when I came out, I didn't even know I had a broken foot. It was crazy, because it relaxed me so deeply. Right. But it still was broken. And it was just, I had no pain.
Are the headphones in here for people to journey and relax?
Yeah, because when there's other people in the room, it kind of blocks out.
Man, what I'm thinking immediately is probably a little less safer than doing this in the hyperbaric, but this would be an amazing thing to do a solo medicine journey and, just get...
Well, I noticed just when I first went in it, when we first set it up, it literally felt like I had just drank ayahuasca, because I've done a lot of ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And it felt like that same feeling of just opening up and just like third eye awakening and all that stuff. I was like, whoa. I had one lady go in here, she's like a famous actress from Israel, and she went in there, and within about 5 minutes, she started giggling. She's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in children's camp when I was 9 years old. And she just was tripping the whole time. Wow. It was like bringing out her inner child.
Wow, dude, that's really great.
Yeah.
How you feeling in there, Troy?
Fred, is it on?
Yeah, it's on. I turned it on.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, so here we're on to the Pandora Starlight. And from what I understand, this is a similar kind of technology to the Lucia light that I've covered previously on the show, a light that produces various frequencies and induces different states of consciousness in the people under it. So what have you got to say about this one?
Well, what I noticed personally, especially recently, because I've had this light for a few years, and I've kind of played with it on and off, but recently with all this stuff that's going on with the coronavirus, all this uncertainty and everything, I thought, you know what? I need to get underneath this light and just chill out. And I was so amazed. And it wasn't anything special. I just did a little 15-minute session. But I felt like all the craziness that I was feeling from the outside world completely gone. I felt like I was in my own bubble of happiness and none of the shit mattered, basically.
Right.
So it gave me... even getting like a 15-minute break from this stuff, it's so amazing to get out. It takes you out of the matrix, basically.
Yeah, awesome, matrix breaker.
Yeah.
Well, let's fire it up. And actually, before we do, how many different settings does it have in it? Because I noticed it seems to be different from the Lucia, and the Lucia has an outboard interface on a laptop, and then you run it from there, and has all the different programs and frequencies. But this one's all inside the
so this has I think about 40 programs that you can scroll through.
Oh, I see.
And then you can hook it up to a laptop and then swap out the different programs, and you can customize them. There's hundreds of programs for this, by the way.
Got it. Okay.
But there's 40 of them just on here. So some of them take you down into a deep delta state. Some of them will take you up to gamma, lambda.
Wow.
I think it goes up to 200 hertz.
Wow.
So you can go sailing through your consciousness with this thing.
Dude. All right. Well,
Yeah, so you want it ready to fire?
Yeah,
up?
let's do it.
Okay.
Let's have it just a couple minutes.
Yeah,
of
so
it.
just close your eyes. I'm going to turn some music on too.
Cool.
I like to do it with 528 hertz music.
Oh, nice.
And you can like do it with headphones too, but we're not doing it that way.
Yeah.
So you have to close your eyes, and then it's like a 30-second ramp up, and then the show starts. So it's and even just looking at it on film, you'll get the effect. It's not quite as strong, but just even seeing the vibration of the light will affect anybody who's watching it.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Yep.
Pink puzzle pieces. On to the fuchsia fireworks. Here we go.
Pretty much zeroes out the matrix.
Wow, it's like so immediately psychedelic.
Yeah. You know, there's no buildup. You're right into the trip.
Whoa.
Yeah. This program's called Blast Off, so it just kind of
Blast off, perfect, just my style.
it just takes off like a rocket.
It's a real example of how you have all the medicine you need within you. That's what I find so interesting about things that are not really doing anything to you. It's just instigating you to do something, right? So it's like there's no colored lights on here, but I'm seeing just hundreds of colors and patterns that are just produced by the brain. It's really fascinating.
I think this is the most ancient form of meditation too, is light. Tantricum, where you just look into a light.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this is like what the ancient yogis did before they even had electricity.
Right. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yep. One thing I like to do with this light is you can start to manipulate the pattern.
Really?
In your brain, yeah. If you just like kind of tune into what you're seeing internally, you can start to move the pattern like clockwise, counterclockwise. You can spin it in like a circle. It's almost like training to fly a flying saucer. That's what I feel like when I do this. It's like I'm training to be a flying saucer captain, because that's how they pilot those things, is with their minds, right?
Right. I have been training for that my whole life.
Yeah. That was the first time I did this. I thought, oh my God, I'm flying a flying saucer.
How does your booking schedule work with people? Do you have just two people call, or is there an online portal where you reserve the different modalities and things like that?
Yeah, we have I think we have, actually we just changed our website. So yeah, people just have to call the number.
Got it.
And we have somebody who picks up and schedules you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But we're generally here right now because of the COVID situation. We're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday appointments. I'm open. I come in for like new patients on Tuesday and Thursdays.
Oh, okay. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, this thing is just an incredible ride.
This must be really popular.
Yeah.
You ever do breath work under the light?
I have, let me think. I haven't done it yet, but I definitely want to try. What I've done is I'll do the breath work and then I'll relax under the light. Like I'll do a couple of rounds of Wim Hof and then just lay down and just like absorb it. I've had some experiences that were very similar, not quite as intense as 5-MeO, doing that.
Wow.
Have you done the 5-MeO?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
It's on the schedule.
I have the guy whenever you're ready.
Really?
Yeah, I got the guy.
Is it the toad?
He actually has the 199.9% extract.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pure extract that you vape through an argon gas.
Really?
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
And how long does it last?
Probably 10, 15 minutes.
Wow.
So it's quick, but
Wow.
in those 10, 15 minutes, it's like an eternity.
So is it like a what do you call it? A synthesized version of the toad medicine?
Yeah, it's exactly that. Because the toad, the active ingredient's the 5-MeO DMT.
Right.
And that's about 15% of the toad. So you have to do quite a lot of it to get the full, blast off.
Oh, interesting.
With this one, you only need to take like 15 to 20 milligrams, and you're good.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. So it's only one vape, and you're good.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah. That was a life-changing experience for me.
Really?
Sure. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Totally life-changing. I mean, it's a full death.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a full death experience. So.
Yeah.
Troy's done it a bunch of times.
I imagine that. Yeah, I imagine he has.
Yeah. So I know I'm trying to reproduce that experience through Wim Hof breathing. I've had a few experiences where I've come close.
Yeah.
Where I started to see Shiva in my third eye or something.
Right. Yeah, I was actually scheduled to go do the Toad in Austin in April when I went out for Paleo FX. I was speaking gig out there and whatnot, and got rescheduled. So that got rescheduled, and a psilocybin journey that I was scheduled to do out there too. I had a whole kind of medicine tour planned around that trip, and it got the powers that be, the will of the universe, postponed that whole thing. So
Well, maybe you were meant to do it here in LA.
yeah, so I'm like, well, if it wasn't that, what is it?
Yeah.
Maybe I just found it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, my guy, he's in Glendale. He's local.
Oh, cool. And is it has he put together a ceremony of sorts for the?
Kind of. I mean, it's very low key. He has a gong.
Right.
And I did breathing before I went in. I did like a half-hour Wim Hof breathing before I took the vape. And,
Right.
it was an extraordinary experience.
Oh, cool.
It was like taking 1,000 cups of ayahuasca.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like, it's hard to even explain.
And then I've heard that shortly afterward, you're back to homeostasis and you can drive. And
You're totally back. The only thing is, though, I would say for me, physically I was fine. I was totally operational after I got back, but the existential journey that it takes you on post-trip, it took like a year and a half, I would say, to process.
Wow.
The enormity of the experience.
Wow.
Because it was like, it basically opened me up to the whole reality of, astrophysics, quantum physics, Big Bang, because you experience that. You actually experience it.
Right.
And you're like, what was that?
Wow.
So I just started studying astrophysics for a whole year. Like, okay, I got to figure this out. What was it I just experienced?
Right.
Yeah. And actually the thing that brought me back, I'd say the most, was actually doing ayahuasca.
Wow, that's interesting. That says a lot.
Yeah.
If ayahuasca is the thing that brings you back to Earth, you were really out.
Yeah. It wasn't that it brought me back to Earth, it brought me back in my body, I would say.
Got it.
Yeah, I was already in my body, but I just really got into doing the Wim Hof post 5-MeO. Like, that just became it's been my life now for a year and a half, just hardcore 6 to 10 rounds a day.
That's great, dude. That's great. That's inspiring, because I kind of fell off with the breath work a bit and, I've faltered, so that's inspiring.
Yeah. As I'm reaching for that experience, it's like, you really have to focus. Like, you can do it pretty well. I mean, I've heard Wim Hof say, that he's there. Like, you're there, he's there, in that altered state, I guess. So,
Well, I think in the interest of time, as much as I could lay here for 10 hours,
Yeah, I think that's a good journey.
we'll conclude this journey right here,
Okay.
and then we'll move on to the actual interview, I think.
Yeah.
Because now we can kind of touch back on a few of these things in a comprehensive way, get a bit of your story, and
Yeah.
get Troy's take on some of this and what he's up to, and it'll be a really good
Awesome.
bit of content. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, I'm ready to kill it. Ready? Close your eyes. Keep your eyes
Yeah,
closed.
they're
1,
closed.
2, 3. Okay. Here you go.
Wow.